the reason why this was basically an exception carved out is because they regulate it. They went through, and we went through this whole process with 281 where we went through rifles. And we picked out all these rifles that anyone that had any of these features, we made those regulated. We made handguns regulated. So the idea was they would go through the special because they were used in crimes, but what they did not do, and I remember O'Malley at the time made a big thing of touting during 281, and you remember he sent the email out to all the hunters and everything that they took the list for DNR, but that's another subject, that we were not touching hunting rifles and shotguns, that we weren't going to go after the hunters and the farmers and all this, and that we'd gone through and we looked at every other gun and we put them regulated. So basically this exception just exists for hunting rifles and hunting shotguns and stuff, correct?
Essentially. I mean, I think that's a fair description of the political process over the years.
I mean, they went through, and obviously I voted against 281, but they went through and they took out anyone on these different rifles that had these different features and things that they, and they pulled them all out. But the idea, at least with the intent of, I mean, isn't the intent of this is what they did is they didn't want, somebody sells a hunting rifle to a neighbor or whatever. They didn't want to have to go through this whole process. That they were only doing that on handguns and so-called assault rifles and stuff. So
and there's also a number of circumstances, and I, in a minute and 30 seconds, wasn't prepared to describe every circumstance wherein this bill would potentially cause problems, but I'm sure my colleagues whose organizations engage in some of these activities, the lending of firearms, the transfer of firearms between otherwise not prohibited individuals, can speak very specifically to those examples where this legislation would shut down competition and a lot of activities that currently go on perfectly lawfully.
Well, no, and actually, that's a good question, because I remember when 281 came up, it was our understanding during that bill that you could essentially loan, if you had an AR-15, you could essentially loan it out to a friend, and they could keep it and take it to range, do what they want for an inordinate amount of time. But didn't 281 basically allow that? The lending? And the funny thing in this bill is it has in there that you can't lend it to somebody. So in fact, this bill would treat a hunting rifle or shotgun harsher, the way it's written, than an AR-15 is treated under the current law, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
under Maryland law, you could also go hunting with an AR-15, but